Welcome to The Local Live. I'm Sebastian Hall, and tonight we are live at Harbor Island Park for the United Against Hate Vigil. The event was organized by local resident Amy Siskin, an activist and writer. She is the president of The New Agenda, a nonprofit for the empowerment of women, but you may know her from being the author of The List, a week-by-week reckoning of Trump's first year. We will now head over to Harbor Island Park with Sybilla Chipasiwa on the scene.
Thank you, Sebastian. Good evening. I'm Sybilla Chipasiwa, and this is The Local live from Harbor Island Park. So tonight we have the roads closed off by the tennis centers, but you know, this is a community vigil to commemorate the lives lost in recent hate crime attacks. As Sebastian stated, this was organized by Amy Siskin, who's a resident of the area. Just to give you a quick background, the United Against Hate Vigil is to remember the 11 lives lost at a mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. And this shooting has just been confirmed as the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in the United States in history. This also is to remember the 2 lives lost. 2 African Americans were shot at a Kroger supermarket in Kentucky just a few days before the synagogue attack. So Amy Siskin also made it important to note that it is also to celebrate the inclusiveness of the Larchmont and Mamaroneck communities. So people are gathering, candles are being lit right now. Stay with us a moment as the vigil begins.
Do you know how to request our services? Just go to lmctv.org. Under the service banner, click Forms. In our Forms section, you can apply to be a volunteer, learn about membership, learn about corporate underwriting, request a bulletin board, coverage, DVD dubs, equipment, and PSAs. It's all a click away at lmctv.org.
Welcome back. We're here with Amy Siskin, just as the vigil's about to start. Thank you for joining us, Amy. Do you have any words about this event?
Well, I think we all are so happy after the election to have this sense of community and to be together tonight. There's so much going on, so much chaos that these tragedies happen and we don't even have time to stop and mourn them. So I feel like with the election behind us, at least we can catch our breath a little bit and not only mourn what has happened, but also celebrate who we are as a community, that our community is inclusive and diverse and welcoming, and that's something we can be really proud of as a community.
I agree. How long have you been a resident in Larchmont, I believe, or is it?
I'm in Mamaroneck for 24 years.
Oh, wow. So I guess over time, and I guess especially when you founded the New Agenda about 10 years ago, you know, how does that all tie into what you're doing tonight?
Well, some of us were talking here, all the shootings, it's something that we never have had to grapple with, that people were violent this frequently based on hatred of others because of the color of their skin or their religion or them being different or a person with disabilities. That's something that existed in our country, maybe beneath the surface that we didn't see, but now it's out in the light of day. So I think it's super important that we as a community talk about the equality that we celebrate and the diversity and inclusion that we celebrate as a community to counter that. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, we're about to start. Please stay tuned for the live coverage at Harbor Island Park.
Did you know that if you missed the last government meeting, you can watch it on our website? Just go to lmctv.org, click on videos, then click on municipal meetings, scroll down to find the meeting you want, or use the search function in the upper right corner and type in the name or date of the meeting. Then watch. You can see the full agenda and jump to a specific agenda item. It's all a click away at lmctv.org. LMC-TV would like to thank local artist Jamie Lynn at Made, an art studio in Mamaroneck, for creating a beautiful community mural. Place your piece in this mural by contributing to LMC-TV, the community connection that brings you local board meetings, varsity sports, and your local news. Please contribute to this community mural by going to our website and clicking on Donate. Each contributor will be listed next to the mural when it's complete. We value your appreciation of what we do. Become a single donor or as a group, go to lmctv.org. The only piece missing is you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight to our United Against Hate Candlelight Vigil. I want to thank all our elected officials who are here tonight and our members of clergy for this important night. And it's so nice after the election that we can all be together as a community here tonight. And felt like before the election we couldn't catch our breath to actually take in what has happened and to mourn the losses that we faced. And so our hope is that we can do that tonight, as well as celebrate our community, our inclusion and the diversity that we as a community have always enjoyed and always been part of Mamaroneck and Larchmont and the surrounding areas. So we have a number of folks here that are going to deliver remarks and prayers, and I wanted to just start off quickly by talking about some of the recent events. First, the Baptist Church of Jeffersontown, which the media didn't report en masse, but what happened in Kentucky with the two shootings, the man first went with hate in his heart to kill African Americans, and the first place he went was this First Baptist Church. An official at the church said just an hour before there were 70 congregants there to pray. Thank God he went, and the door was locked. Unfortunately, he then left and looked for other African American people to kill. He did shoot two people, Maurice Stallard, who was shot multiple times in front of his grandson while they shopped at Kroger's, and then went into the parking lot and shot Vicki Jones several times. May they rest in peace. A few days later, at a congregation in Pittsburgh, congregants were gathered in Shabbat, reportedly for a bris for a gay couple who had adopted a son. And a man went with hate filled in his heart to target Jews. And the reason he was targeting them is he felt they were supporting letting refugees into our country. He went in and he yelled, "All Jews must die," and proceeded to kill 11. We say their names: Rose Mallinger, Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Jeffrey Rabinowitz, Irving Younger, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, David Rothenthal, Cecilia Rosenthal. May their memory be a blessing. And for those of you who follow my work and my concern and all of our collective concern now of what is happening to our country and our move in many ways towards authoritarianism, all of this crime and violence against others is something we need to all be vigilant about as a community and support each other. And I just wanted to read a poem that was written at the time of the Holocaust that I think is so important for what we are facing now. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. We're honored tonight to have our Congressman Eliot Engel with us this evening.
Here's some information about I Have a Dream.
Well, thank you very much, and it's really wonderful to be here. An honor for me to represent Larchmont Mamaroneck. Wonderful people, and what we're doing is really just so important. I just came from a rally in White Plains where people and myself are very concerned with some of the moves the president's been making, and especially we're concerned that we want to see the Mueller investigation continued. And I raise it because I think it's very important when we're talking against hate and when we're talking about end to violence. I mean, we just had someone again go into a bar in California and shoot up and destroy the lives of, I think it's 13 innocent people. We need to have, thank you, we need to have leaders in this country speak out against hate, and we need leaders in this country to tone down the rhetoric, and frankly it has to start at the top, but it hasn't started at the top because the top is one of the problems. We need to make sure that these United States, the greatest democracy in the world, does not allow itself to succumb to hate. And we have all these, frankly, right-wing skinheads and white supremacists and other obnoxious people who would just deny everything that the United States stands for, and would deny innocent people their rights to just be themselves. And so I think it's important for all communities of goodwill to speak out against hate, to speak out against the wanton hatred of someone who may look different or may act different or may be different. This country was founded more than 200 years ago for freedom and democracy, on the pinnacle of freedom and democracy. And the fact of the matter is that when I see people attacking other people for who they are and what they are and how they look, and separating children from parents who want to be immigrants to this country, it really just breaks my heart. So it is important that people of goodwill, like everybody here, speaks out and says that we're not going to tolerate hate, we're not going to be silent, we're not going to be afraid, we're not going to let hate consume us. We are the majority, and we live in the greatest democracy in the world, and people with hate in their heart are not going to destroy that. But it only happens if people like everyone here are willing to come out and say we're not afraid and we're not going to be quiet. We want peace, we want freedom, we want respect for all individuals, and that's what our country's about, and we're not going to walk away from it. Thank you for being here this evening.
Mayor.
Thank you, Congressman. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Welcome to the Village of Mamaroneck. We're very happy to have this ceremony here tonight. Unfortunately, we have to have this ceremony. You know, there is rampant and hopefully not unchecked hatred running throughout this country at this time. Amy pointed out many of the heinous crimes that have happened in the past year, year and a half, 2 years. This is a time where, as Americans, we have to figure out who we are. And one of the ways to figure out who we are is to figure out where we've come from. And there was a time, not just in America, but all over this world after World War II, when all the decent people across all the lands, when they saw the end product of hatred, which was genocide, they made a vow, and the vow was never again. Never again are we going to let this happen. Never again are we going to let this go unchecked. Never again are we going to allow people to be discriminated against and killed and murdered because of who they are, their race, their ethnicity, their religion, or who they love. And we are the descendants, our parents, our grandparents, some of our great-grandparents made that vow. We have to fulfill that vow. And coming here tonight is saying that we will fulfill that vow. We will be the descendants of the people who stopped fascism before, who will stop it again. We will not allow this to happen in our communities without a pushback. You know, hate will not win here, especially in the Village of Mamaroneck. This is a community that is built upon diversity. We honor our diversity. Well, we come from every country in the world. The old saying, we were kicked out of every self-respecting country in this world. And we are here today, and we have made a life here, and this is a place to raise our children without hate and without fear. I just want to point out tonight the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department and thank them for their excellent work in making sure that this is a safe gathering. I want to thank Chief Leahy and the men and women of the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department for doing an excellent job. And I just want to thank you all for coming out. And it's nice to know that there are like-minded people who will vow that this will never happen again. And God bless the Village of Mamaroneck, and God bless America. Thank you.
Reverend Troy.
Reverend Troy DeCone.
Good evening, everyone. This is another sad day when we have to gather to address hate. And for me, even from a biblical perspective, it's not just hate, but it's evil. And the reason why I say evil, because evil is purpose-driven. And evil people will always be driven to exercise and execute their purpose. Just 2 weeks ago, I had the unfortunate privilege to speak at the synagogue in White Plains with Rabbi Milgram and Rabbi Les Bronstein as we gathered to pay tribute to the lives that was lost in Pittsburgh. And that's hate, but it's an evil. The same thing as Amy mentioned, and we are so sad of the trials that she's going through as well. And then we have Kentucky, and we have so many examples of hatred and evil manifesting across the land. And one of the sad commentaries, as Congressman Engel mentioned, is that it always starts from the top. And this is not about politics. This is just about recklessness. You know, the book of Proverbs, I hate to be biblical in this, but it says that the tongue has the power of life and death. And when people speak certain things, it causes other people to respond to what they're saying. And the rhetoric must stop. Our country is greater than this. You know, the saying is we all came here on different ships, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same boat. And we may have our disagreements, we may have our dislikes, but what made America great is that we all found a commonality and a way that we could work through our indifferences, that we all get along and share this land. Because the earth is small. It's not really that big, and we all inhabit it. You know, I like when Dr. King mentioned, he said, I had a dream that one day we will all be able to stand together, white men, black men, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, Catholics, and that we all be able to sing in the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, free at last. But his dream has now turned into a nightmare. Because now we're back again, wrestling with the hatred and the evil that has pervaded the land. And now we are back with candles in our hands in solidarity in order to address this issue. So Amy, you know, I stand with you, the clergy, we stand with all of you, black, white, Hispanic, we all stand together with our Jewish brethren, and we all in this thing together, because if it happens to one, it's going to happen to all of us. And I'm very mindful of that. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Kathleen here? Kathleen Parker?
Not here yet.
You're not here yet? Okay. So who's next on the list? Monsignor White. Monsignor.
Good evening. Again, I come to share my voice with all of those who pray for unity, peace, and tranquility in our nation. And especially tonight we come and we give praise and thanks to God. Blessed are you, O Lord God, the creator of us all. You created us as one family. You are the one true God, living and true, and we ask your blessing to bring peace to our nation, to bring peace to our world. For we are all suffering now from that tree of life that has been bruised, the branches have been broken, We ask you to nourish that tree again, to bring us back to where we were. We look to you again to hear our pain, to hear our sorrows as brothers and sisters of one family. And when one member of the family suffers, we all suffer. We know that you desire not holocaust, you desire not burnt offerings, but through your prophets, what you love and what you desire of all of us is love and peace. And so, living and true God and gracious God, we look again to you to heal that tree that you have planted, that tree of life, and rid us of the pain of evil, injustice, division, and discrimination in our world. We ask your blessing, especially upon those to whom your word was first revealed, your people, and that word has spread to all of us. Gather us together as the one people of faith in you, and to share your love with all without distinction and discrimination. Without love, there is no justice, there is no peace, there is only evil and division. And so, Lord God, we thank you for hearing our prayer this evening. Continue to bring us together as your people. We pray this in your name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor. Thank you very much. Norman? Is Norman Rosenblum here? I saw Norman before.
Thank you, Rabbi. Unfortunately, maybe I should use this. We're gathered here. This is not the first candlelight ceremony in the friendly village of Mamaroneck. I would note, I just made a quick list. Sandy Hook, Orlando, Dallas, San Bernardino, Paris, London, Madrid, Mumbai, Buenos Aires, Jerusalem, and Pittsburgh, and even Los Angeles today. While it's sad, I can tell you that sometimes it's closer to home than not. Daniel Stein happened to be my brother-in-law's cousin. The Rosenthal brothers are very close family friends of another cousin. And while it's close to home and within my own family, I can tell you this is an attack, as noted by other speakers, not just a personal family, but a family of community of the village of Mamaroneck, of Westchester County, of the United States. We all stand together. What we have to fight against in this country, and by the way, I was going to have two poems, and the first one is the one I just read, so everyone knows what I'm talking about. And the fact of the matter is that you have to stand together. You have to fight the bully mentality. That's where it comes from. We have to learn in this country to start talking to each other instead of at each other. There's no such thing as fake news anymore. The fact of the matter is that we have to learn to get along and work together. I would note that the second poem really has to do with what I think the image that you talked about, that love overcomes hate. And I will read this one poem. I'll do it this way. I feel a warmth upon my face as I enter the land of God's good grace. Friends of loved ones gone before, waiting here beyond the door. With open arms they welcome me, amazement in my eyes they see. They look so well and at their best, beauty beholds them as they rest. I walk across the grass so green, the greenest grass I've ever seen. I jump and skip and bounce on air, and almost like breathing there. Take my glasses off to read. A sky of blue, not a cloud in sight, perpetual day, no darkest night. Every flower is in full bloom, undefined colors of every hue. The streams and rivers crystal clear, no rubbish or decay found here. The sea is calm, the turquoise blue, I long to test it, wouldn't you? The softest sand beneath my feet, at the water's edge where they both meet. The warmest waters gently flow, bathing me from head to toe. A city built of alabaster walls, where a translucent light illuminates the halls. Theaters of music and concerts too, magnificent galleries all to view. Amazing sights for me to see, I just wander in, there's no entrance fee. Libraries stacked with books galore, history, science, and many more. The celestial sun does forever shine, its perfect temperature all the time. Orchards overflow with fruit, taste in itself is quite exquisite. I'm told it will help my soul to restore. Pick what I like, there's plenty more. This ethereal plain is pure delight. It's my new home, my God-given right. There's nothing here to cause me fear. The Lord protects within his sphere. An infinity of perfect peace. From the toils of earth I am now released. I've landed on a higher realm in perfect harmony to forever dwell. So believe it when I tell you, my dear friends, you cannot die. Life never ends. And I would tell you that, as noted before, hate is self-destructive and it will destroy itself in the end. Love is what we all need, and it is perpetual. So God bless America.
Karen. Karen. Reverend Karen Berger.
Thank you. Hearing Norm talk about people that he knows through his own family from Squirrel Hill and Tree of Life, I'm reminded of last Saturday when we received a gracious invitation to go to a Solidarity Shabbat, and I went with some of the parishioners and my husband to the Westchester Jewish Center, and we also heard from someone from Squirrel Hill who spoke about people that he knew personally, and it really did drive home how personal this is to all of us, and for some even more so because of knowing the victims. But here we are tonight after yet another shooting now in California that we didn't know would happen when this was planned, and enough is enough. It's really upsetting to hear again and again of the violence, sometimes from illness, sometimes from hate, and far too often from hate these days. Hate has to be taught and modeled, and love can be taught and modeled. And so we're here tonight because we want to teach and model love. And so it's okay to be angry too, because it is wrong what's happening and we need to speak out. So last night I had an uplifting experience. I was with a musician friend, Anthony Rispo, who gave a concert up in Mohegan Lake, and one of his songs has some beautiful lyrics, and I wanted to share those with you. And the song is called The Same, and there's this beautiful part that says, "When will we figure out what this is all about? We're all the same. Just fill your heart with love. Forget the other stuff. We've had enough." Well, we are inside all the same, and yet we also have differences, and beautiful differences, and we celebrate those. So let's continue to build bridges, and let's continue to get out of our comfort zone and out of our own little niches and build bridges in our community and keep up this good work. And thank you to everyone who's here tonight. It's really, really important.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Janet Rolon. The Community Resource Center.
Good evening, everyone. It is really empowering to see many of us gathered this evening, this cold evening. And if you allow me, I will continue my speech in Spanish because I think America is all about its diversity. Ha sido muy difícil poder expresar el sentimiento que sentimos en este momento. Solo esta mañana despertamos con la noticia que en California 12 personas fueron asesinadas. ¿Por qué? No sabemos por qué. El 27 de octubre, en Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 11 personas judías fueron asesinadas por una persona que solamente, con odio en su corazón, decidió asesinar a judíos. No puedo entender ese sentimiento. Solo nos toca rezar por las víctimas, por los familiares de las víctimas, para que puedan encontrar paz en su corazón y puedan continuar y salir adelante. Señoras y señores, estamos en un momento de prueba de nuestros valores, prueba de nuestra tolerancia, y de nuestra integridad. Nosotros tenemos que ser fuertes y solamente el amor y solamente la tolerancia uno al otro, a nuestras diferencias, porque América es una serie de razas, de culturas, de generaciones, y eso es lo que nos hace muy bello. En representación del Community Resource Center, hago un llamado a la solidaridad y a la unidad, para que el amor perdure entre nosotros y podamos apoyarnos uno al otro, porque eso es América, su diversidad y el amor al prójimo. Muchas gracias.
Is Kathleen Parker here? Okay. Then I'll do it.
Around us, protection.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it. We've spoken much about love and hate, and I would like to share with you my personal prayer. Dearest God, my prayer to you is that you should grant me the courage to admit that sometimes I'm wrong. Not all wrong, just somewhat wrong. I know that I must be wrong sometimes because I'm a human being and no human being can be right 100% of the time. And yet I really would like to think that everything that I believe is right. So you know what I do, God? I go to the news channels and the websites and the social media outlets that validate everything that I believe. And it feels good. It feels empowering to know that everything that I believe is right. That is, until I stop and realize that my neighbor who disagrees with me is doing exactly the same thing. He wants to feel good about being right, so he's going to the news channels and websites and social media outlets that validate everything that he believes. In our desire to be right, we've stopped listening to each other simply because we don't have to. Both I and my neighbor can listen and watch and read that which reassures us that we have the whole truth. But God, you know, and when I stop to think about it, I know that it is exactly that that breeds hatred. Both I and my neighbor are humans. We cannot be 100% right all of the time, but we seem to become addicted to those who would like to have us think so. If I had the courage to admit that I must be wrong about something, and my neighbor had the same courage to admit that he must be wrong about something, then maybe we would listen to each other and figure out, respectfully, what each of us has wrong. God, if you would help us to find that courage, then we would be able to listen to each other, not with an idea to refute that which we don't believe, but to actually question what we do believe. And then it would be respectful. And we could turn hatred into respect, because it is only when there is respect that there can ever be love. And so, God, I beg you, please grant me the courage to know that I can be wrong, and bless my neighbor with the courage to know that he can be wrong. Remind me, dear God, that as a Jew I have a messianic vision. In our faith, when the Messiah will come, not everyone is going to be a Jew. In our messianic vision, there will be Jews and Christians and Muslims and Buddhists and everyone. Messianic love does not mean that we're all going to agree. The Messiah will create a peace despite our differences. God, help me to keep that messianic vision clear so that I can live it even before the Messiah comes. God, no one wants to hate, but here we are. This very vigil against hate testifies to the reality of hatred. Our minds tell us that being wrong is a sign of weakness, but our souls cry out that the end of hatred and the birth of love will come from the power to admit that maybe we're a little bit wrong. God, the souls that you have given us, bless us with the courage to hear them, so that maybe, just maybe, we will be able to hear each other. Is Shelley here? Is Shelley rising?
Keep going.
There is no keeping going. Oh, Catherine's here?
Good evening. It's really great to see all of you here. You know, I think we all feel like we need to come together to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, no matter our color, our religion, our sex, who we love, we are all here together. And I really believe that more people feel as we do than are the outliers in our society, the ones that spew the hate, the ones that try to make us, you know, talk about the other. And I, you know, with what happened at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, it was kind of unbelievable for me because I was in Pittsburgh that weekend. I was visiting my daughter for our first parents' weekend. And she goes to University of Pittsburgh, and there are many Jewish students. She has many Jewish friends, and we have many Jewish people in our family. And it felt very surreal what happened. What I really took away, though, from it was, again, how that city pulled together and said, you know, we're better than that. We're not about hate. We're about love. And I read today in the newspaper about the nurse at Allegheny Hospital who treated the killer, who himself was Jewish, a man by the name of Ari Meller. And here he was, a Jewish man, knowing that this man that he was charged with taking care of hated him because of his religion, and had done something so heinous to his community. And he really felt this was a time when he had to combat hate with love. And here's what he said. Love, that's why I did it. Love as an action is more powerful than words. And love in the face of evil gives others hope. It demonstrates humanity. It reaffirms why we're all here. I couldn't care less what Robert Bowers thinks, but you, the person reading this, because he wrote it on his Facebook post, love is the only message I will instill in you. In my actions, if my actions mean anything, love means everything. And I really think that's what we have to remember. And you know, I saw somebody else's post on Facebook recently. There's no epicenter of hate. Hate is unfortunately in all our communities. There's always somebody that's unfortunately was raised not understanding that we are all together as community, but again seeing us as other. And we just have to combat that with love. That is the answer. Thank you very much.
Want to lead us? You volunteered.
Do you want to throw it? Drop by.
Oh, Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry about that.
I've been asked to lead us in prayer. Let us pray. May the Holy, Merciful One, who has breathed life into each one of us, fill our hearts with love, embolden and empower us to reject those things that divide us, that cause us to view the other with suspicion or hate. Make us examine our words, our beliefs, our behaviors, so they are worthy of you and all of your creation. To stand firm in the belief that all persons are equal in their humanity, so that we may know we are one people, in which all are distinct and yet at the same time are all alike. Fill our minds with the knowledge of what is sacred, that violence and hate have no place and do not align with that which is holy. Pique our consciences and move us to action. Strengthen our resolve to stand up for what is right, even when it means we may stand alone. That the life we have been given be filled with meaning and purpose, so that the world we inhabit will be transformed. In the name of the gracious Creator who loves us. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now we're going to close out, led by Karen. Is it Pastor Karen? Thank you.
Next up, we were going to close by singing God Bless America, but of course we're affirming here that God bless everyone all around the world, and we have some great people here working to help people coming from other countries, so we think of them as we sing God Bless America. So please join me. This is just to give you a good starting note, hopefully.
Just sing over the airplane and the sirens.
Okay. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Go in peace. Thank you so much. Good night.
LMC Cast.
The whole system is fine. All right, cool. I definitely would recommend doing podcasts if you are someone that likes to get something off the chest, or you want to just talk about anything in the world that just might interest you. Podcast here at LMC TV is amazing.
I hope you're listening out there.
We'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in to this candlelight visual, United Against Hate, live at Harbor Island Park. As you saw earlier, the community mural is a way that you can donate to LMC TV to help us fight things like a production van. But somehow we managed with just batteries. For the local live, I'm Sibylla Chipaziwa. Thanks again for watching. Next week we'll have Town Councilman Jeffrey King in the studio to answer your questions, so please get to know him and email us. Back to you in the studio, Sebastian.
Thank you, Sibylla. We love hearing from our viewers. Please send all emails, comments, inquiries, news tips, pictures, and videos to the local live at lmctv.org. Remember, if you missed Thursday's live broadcast, you can catch replays of the local live twice a day on this channel and find story clips on our YouTube channel. Be sure to also follow us on Facebook, where we stream live every Thursday night, and keep an eye out for some unique content. Thank you for watching The Local Live. I'm Sebastian Hall, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.